To pray, there's no angels where I go. Only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Midoriya had just beaten Todoroki and Kendo in the Heroes vs. Villains, basically beating them single-handedly, while his ally was wanting to see exactly what he could do. Now, after that did happen, Deku, he carried Kendo over to Recovery Girl's office, getting her healed as the two had walked back to see the rest of the battles. Todoroki stayed in the office because he was already passed out. Along with that, they would watch as Bakugo messes up his own fights. Bakugo's fight would have gone differently because Ida and Ochako are actually on a team, meaning that Ida can carry her in and basically have her hold out her hand, being able to tap on a Bakugo whenever they do pass by. Bakugo's attitude being changed to a bit more pissed off, since he wasn't able to win. Now, with that being said, everyone is talking. Along with whenever it is the end of the day, everyone will be getting out of their hero costumes and leaving, watching as Deku and Kendo do actually leave together, which would have prompted some people to start talking. Along with that, they'd be trying to ask Bakugo a question. Exactly where does Midoriya know Kendo from? A lot of people aren't really sure until Ojiro would have spoken up, saying that from what he knows at least, Kendo was at his dojo whenever they had a tournament. He remembers at least seeing her there. So it must be that. No. Deku and Kendo would have been leaving, heading over to, well, the beach to start training more, along with actually spending a bit of time off. Now, what I mean by time off is that they would be slowly, well, taking rest days, since they are told that the USJ is going to be coming up, and that they should be well rested for this event. Now, with that being said, it is early in the morning, and Deku had just gotten back from his run, showering, changing, and then running over to UA, getting his hero costume, changing into it early, and then waiting outside for everyone else to show up, as eventually people would start doing so, and they would all begin to start talking. While on the bus, people do actually begin to ask good questions. Deku having a conversation with Ojiro about different techniques and styles of fighting, until someone actually does ask him a question. Him answering that one until people do start throwing out more and more. Him answering all of these until finally the question does pop up. Midoriya, as also we would say, your quirk is pretty powerful, but from what Ojiro said, you were quirkless last year. How is that possible? Midoriya actually pausing and looking at her, saying that the only reason that that's possible is because, well, he's not too sure. Doctors said they were actually pretty stumped by it. Apparently, the reason why my quirk didn't show right or properly was because whenever it unlocked fully, I went back to the doctor. And, well, there was a joint in my toe. Apparently, my stockpile of power, as I call it, works like a, well, solar battery, kinda, I think. I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if it works on solar or if it's just every day. But a certain amount of time during the day, whenever I do work out or train, apparently I pick up power. And the reason for that is because of my quirk. I'm like a battery, kind of. I can hold a certain amount of charge. apparently whenever it reached its limit, it finally overflowed, and I was able to actually start tapping into it. Now, that would have satisfied some people's answers and curiosity, along with someone finally throwing out the question, are you and Kendo a couple? Everyone throwing this out there. Deku just bringing his hand up and saying, "Oh, no, we're not actually, we're just friends." Her kind of blushing a bit, and nervous at that question. Deku just saying that in fact they actually met at the dojo that, well, he trained at. Whenever he first arrived, whenever she first arrived, him going into detail about this day, saying that he first met her whenever there was a tournament and he kicked Dojo's ass. Surprisingly, though, that was also in league with my first incident. Now, he would just explain these instances, his arms glowing and actually somewhat charging up. Now, they would have gone to the USJ, hopping out of the bus and walking in. This being whenever 13 would go on giving the explanation, saying that all quirks are a bit odd, and actually very interesting. However, a lot of them can be considered villainous. It is not the way that you use your quirk, or, well, it's not your quirk in general. It's the way that you use its abilities and power. Otherwise, with my power, I could be a very, well, scary villain. Although I do not want to be like that. I want to save people. Her giving this explanation. Now, with that being said, this is whenever the portal began to open up. And Aizawa began to notice things are weird here. As soon as he does see the League of Villains, he would have jumped in, telling 13 to protect the students. Now, Midoriya would rush in after him, telling Aizawa that he's not taking care of that alone. As Kirishima, Bakugo, and Todoroki, they would all somewhat try and work together, or at least rush in too, along with Kendo and Ojiro. 13 would be trying to order the students to stay in line. Basically, stay together and stay safe. She can protect them. Kirigiri pulling that trick on her that makes her, well, basically tear herself apart. And Midoriya is rushed in. Aizawa scolding him and telling him that he should not be down here, as he is jumping through and actually taking down multiple villains all at once. After taking down about 50 within a couple of seconds, he would have looked at Aizawa, saying that if he overuses his quirk, then he knows what happens, correct? Aizawa just blinking, actually, while putting water drops into his eyes, saying that he understands that, but even then, this is still no place for you. You are still all in training. Now, this is whenever 13, or Kirigiri, not 13, would have opened a portal, and immediately just began to suck everyone into it. Midoriya included. Him basically trying to get out as Kirishima would be running over, grabbing onto his arm and trying to pull him out. Midoriya not really able to do so, letting go of Kirishima's hand and telling him to just take care of that portal guy. He's going to be the biggest problem, right before he does fall completely through. And begin. Now, whenever he is falling, he'd be in the water area, and he is trying to figure this all out. If they were really going to try and slow him down, then what kind of quirk do they think he has? Him smashing into the water, and coming back up, taking a breath and beginning to swim over, using full cowling. Also, we get a bit surprised when she does see exactly how fast Midoriya is moving, as he'd be able to jump upwards and get onto the boat. Also, we actually coming in with Kendo, and dropping her off, proceeding to ask her exactly if she is okay. Now, this would be whenever, surprise, surprise, everything is sort of just fucked. They're all surrounded by villains, and they're all split up into multiple groups. So, what now? Now, Midori would just say that this is not good. Honestly, actually watching as his confidence does somewhat waver, or at least disappear for a second. Midori just saying that if they are surrounded by villains, then that means that they are going to be attacked from all sides. But even then, I think we're going to be fast enough to take them all down. The problem being that Portal Guy, though, and 13 is injured. Him just thinking, did they get Ida out of there at least? Shit. I shouldn't have rushed in. Now, with that being said, this is whenever Asui would just ask Midori if he has a plan, since getting out of here is going to be a very difficult thing. Him just saying that he does have at least one planned out, although it's sort of stupid. That being the canon plan. Now, also we would just ask exactly what type of plan does he have then? Because if that's the only one, then, well, I'm not sure it would work. Midori just said that his plan is to step off as hard as possible onto the boat, and that he wants her to be careful. He's going to, well, need both of them to hold on to him. Whenever he does step off, this will be very powerful, and probably snap this thing into two. Both of them actually grabbing onto him. Him holding both of them onto his shoulders, and beginning. Charging up Volcaling to about 50%, and jumping up as high as he can into the air. As soon as he does so, the two would watch as the boat basically splits into two, along with forming a bit of a whirlpool, beginning to suck all the villains in. Now, after that does happen, this is when Midoriya would go landing into the ground, or at least still into the water, and get up, setting the two down and just saying that at least worked. Now, as they'd be watching the fight with, well, Shigaraki. Now, the fight with Shigaraki is a bit bad. Midoriya watching as Shigaraki is already beginning to decay Eraserhead's arm, and watching as he does basically drop it and go and kick him with his other leg. Backing away before Eraserhead would watch him summon the Nomu, and the Nomu would begin to attack and actually begin to overpower him. Now, that would be whenever Shigaraki would begin to look around, actually rushing forwards towards these hiding students. As soon as he watches Shigaraki throw his hand out towards Kendo to try and attack her, he would have done one thing. Throwing up his hand at 40%, smashing upwards into Shigaraki's and actually breaking it, as a large shockwave would be sent upwards. The Nomu running over and directly getting in the way, going to attack Midoriya. Now, Midoriya would have basically brought his hands up and tried to block it. That not being very effective, the thing stopping directly in front of him and just waiting for an order. Midoriya confused, taking the chance to grab Asui and Kendo and run. Running away as the Nomu is ordered to attack that kid. Shigaraki is still trying to, well, keep his broken arm, at least somewhat together. Now, with that being said, the Nomu will begin to rush after Midoriya. Midoriya doing one thing, saying sorry as he basically does toss the two away from him, back towards the water, turning around and dodging the Nomu's punch, sending a kick directly upwards into it, this being very ineffective. As he begins to sent flying and actually pummeled into himself. Deku trying to hold off the Nomu at about 40 to 45%. This not being very good. Along with that, whenever he does try and throw as much force as he can, nothing really does work. And it gets proven that he's going to lose. Increasing himself up to 50, finding this to be at least bad. He's going to be pushing his physical limits. And if he goes up any higher, then that means that he's going to absolutely lose it. Now, 50% would not be very effective. Him having to bring it up more. Actually having to max himself out at 55. And whenever he does try and mess around with, or at least take down the Nomu, nothing is working. He's basically just running around throwing punches at it, along with actually trying to pick it up and move it around, as his muscle would burst his right arm, and he would have felt something in his, chest hurt, as he gets sent flying away and smashes into the ground, being left in a bit of a crater. Blood covering his face and not being able to see out of one of his eyes. Shigaraki actually walking over to his direction, and telling the young hero that that was very ineffective. Now, that thing was made to kill All Might, so if you're going to try and take it down, you're going to have to try a little bit harder. Now, Midori would have been angry, and began to get back up. This actually surprising Shigaraki. He's fairly certain that that boy just broke a couple bones. Now, Midoriya, he has cracked a few of his ribs, along with a fracture in his skull. But that is not going to stop him. Kendo actually watching as he does basically stand back up, and begin to wipe away his face, telling Shigaraki that if that's all he's got, then he might as well just turn himself in now. All Might's going to be here at any minute. Then you're in for some real trouble. Shigaraki just saying that it doesn't matter if All Might's here. Besides, we already got what we want. Besides, even then, we will kill you, then him. This is a message to All Might. I think we've gotten it across. Now, this is whenever the Nomu would come rushing back in, but so would Kendo. As soon as Midoriya brings his hands up to block, this is whenever Kendo would have grabbed him. And her giant one, the Nomu would just smash into hers, her breaking her hand as she would begin to scream. Midoriya being sent flying due to the force and hitting the ground once again, getting back up again. Now, Midoriya would turn and see the situation. Kendo holding her broken hand, and the Nomu running towards him. Him getting annoyed and angry, turning on One for All and immediately just going up to 100%, cocking back his left arm as he throws it outwards, directly into the Nomu's chest. I have one feeling the shockwave as Midoriya would break his left arm. This not doing anything as he falls onto his knees, and is exhausted. The amount of stamina he's been using for this is not good. Even then, just trying to stay on his feet is beginning to become a challenge. More than it already has been. He's fighting an uphill battle. Now, this is whenever he would just look back up, and just hear someone say that if he's really going to lose, then he really isn't the successor to All Might. I'm a bit confused. Before he just feels something in the back of his neck. And, well, he's not too sure as to what it is. As it begins to wrap around and coat around his arms, like branches. The voice telling him to let him take it from here. As Midoriya would just throw his hand up, and directly stab into the Nomu with his fingers. This thing beginning to freak out and actually move around. Midoriya pulling his hand backwards to reveal Black Whip. Kendo a bit surprised, as Black Whip just pulled the Nomu upwards into the air, and began to release spikes all throughout it, stabbing into and tearing the Nomu apart from the inside out. Shigaraki a bit more confused, and actually surprised, as Midoriya would be losing control over it, and his emotions are running wild. Black Whip tearing the Nomu apart and, well, being a bit more brutal, even more. Along with the fact that spikes are beginning to pop out of the Nomu's body. Every single part of his body is being covered in spikes more and more. All Might bursting in is watching as a spike pops out of the Nomu's brain. And Midoriya is basically just holding this thing up in the air, confused, trying to bring up his other arm and grab onto it, or at least try and buckle his arm and get control over this. As Midoriya would just begin to bite into and try and tear away at Black Whip on his forearm. That not really working. All Might rushing forwards and seeing the situation, along with Kendo basically having to chop him on the back of his neck. Him dropping the Nomu's body as All Might rushes in and takes down a lot of villains. And is a bit confused, as the rest of them would have escaped. Now, with that being said, Kendo would have ran over and checked on Midoriya, basically hugging him and almost tackling him onto the ground, asking if he is okay. Midoriya just asking a question that she's a bit more surprised about. Are you okay? I was worried about you. Huh? I'm fine. I just hurt my hands. Her trying to downplay this, along with asking exactly what was that thing. Midoriya actually sounding a bit more surprised. He's not sure about what that was. But whatever it was was powerful. As he would somewhat try and get up, laughing a bit. Holding on to Kendo, as she would just tell him that they are going to be getting out of here soon. Aizawa needs an ambulance. Her actually watches Midoriya's head just drops, and he was smirking. Him going completely limp and passing out. As she gets more concerned, actually beginning to yell that Midoriya is out cold, and them trying to check on him. With what he did to his body, it's fairly certain that that's not going to be good anytime soon. But eventually they would have gotten him out of there, and taken him to see Recovery Girl. Him getting healed and, well, laying in the infirmary. Until he does actually wake up. Anyway guys, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.